This is Superman. Welcome to Godfall 101.
Welcome to the Godfall 101 lore series. Today I'll be giving a quick overview of the lore we just recently learned about, and after the overview, I want to give my thoughts and have some discussion about some of the things I think are particularly interesting about the story. I really enjoyed talking about fantasy and science fiction stories, so I'm getting really excited about the world building and story behind Godfall. So there will be a lot of speculation and just weird out there ideas from me, but I just kind of want to talk about it and get your thoughts on it as well. So here's a quick timeline of the history of Cosmera and Hyperion. In the beginning there was nothing. Cosmera the Great Dragon slept in the void surrounded by the multiverse. Cosmera dreamed of possibilities that could be. Cosmera created the 12 Archons in her mind's eye. The 12 currently existed in her conscience and formed in the void. The Archons were the first beings to be created. The Archons desired for physical manifestation. This desire created a hunger in Cosmera to answer the desires of her children. Cosmera devoured herself. From her body, the world of Hyperion was created. The Archons manifested into forms that represented their aspects. Before the Archons formed, another aspect of Cosmera manifested itself in Hyperion. The hunger Cosmera felt manifested as the Craven, beasts whose only desire was to consume. The Archons created the Valorians to fight the Craven. The Valorians, or Firstborn, were gifted the Valorplates, armor forged in the remains of Cosmera's essence, made in the image of the Archons. The Valorians pushed the Cravens back to the corners of Hyperion. The Valorians started building cities. The Archons began fighting amongst themselves. The lesser races were created. These races were created by the Archons to do battle amongst themselves. The Valorians fight against the Archons, and the Archons are eventually defeated. So that's a quick summary of what we know right now, a quick timeline, and I'm sure the gaps will be filled in the future, but now I just have some questions and some random thoughts about the lore drop. So first up, Cosmera. The Great Dragon slept in the void, surrounded by the multiverse. I was thinking about the void and the multiverse and wondering if the void is just another realm that exists in the fiction. We know that void is a damage type in the game, so even though it says in the beginning there was nothing, I wonder how literal we can take that. Is this the creation point for the entire universe? If so, how was Cosmera created and from what? Where did the void come from? Or was Cosmera a great dragon banished to the void for some reason by others of her kind? While she was surrounded by the multiverse in the void, I wonder how much she saw. It says she dreamed of possibilities that could be. Could she see the future? Multiple futures? Did she see the creation of Hyperion, the fall of the Archons, and maybe a potential rebirth? Doctor Strange style? We know that as she dreamed, she created the Archons in multiple ways. First in her mind, where the attributes began to manifest. But the Archons wanted physical bodies as well, maybe to match their mother. At the same time, a hunger for Cosmera also drove her to eventually devour herself and create a world. I think maybe this devouring caused the planet and the Archons to form in a different realm. Unless the sacrifice populated the void, thus no longer becoming a void, but I think it actually shifted the planet. I'm not sure if anything else besides Cosmera could survive in the void, but to me it just seems like it would make sense for whatever happened, this creation of Hyperion shifted whatever realm they happen to be in to something different. Cosmera only left behind a handful of scales that the Archons kept as proof of their lineage. This is very interesting to me. I can only guess that these scales will be of some import to the future of the game. If the magic of Cosmera infused every aspect of the planet when created, I imagine that the scales are immensely powerful objects. Being from the body of Cosmera herself, maybe they were used in forging the Valorplates, or maybe potentially creating more dragons in the future? As the 12 strode forth on the surface of Hyperion, they manifested into physical forms befitting their aspects. This part is a little confusing to me, so help me work it out here. I think what happened was that the Archons took on the physical appearances of animals that befitted their core attribute. In the fall trailer, we see the giant statues of the lion and the wolf. So maybe their first forms were of animals that represented their aspects. The Valorplates are all representations of the Archons and are based off of an animal also, for the most part. So I think when they first arrived, they took the forms of lions, hawks, swans, wolves, rams, and so on. But also, even before they manifested physically, the Craven manifested on the planet, with the desire to consume and destroy. Lineage seems to be a big part of Godfall lore, with the Valorians being titled Firstborn and the other races Latterborn. The Craven appear, at least from this telling, to have manifested physically at least first before the Archons. With the Craven manifesting, I wonder what other aspects of Cosmera also were granted physical forms on Empyrean. Other creatures we don't know about, maybe even some that are good and benevolent. The God Beast could have been part of Cosmera's conscience and other flora and fauna in the world. So the 12 Archons needed a way to fight the Craven, and they created the Valorians. Now, either the Archons could not physically fight the Craven for some reason. Maybe they weren't strong enough. Maybe some of the Archons were willing to fight the other and others were not. Maybe because the Craven and the Archons were directly from the mind of Cosmera, they were more on a level playing field. And there are only 12 Archons. Maybe there were too many Craven for them to fight off. So to solve the problem, the Archons created the Valorians. So the Valorians were a noble race of warriors with skills and powers needed to fight the Craven. This got me thinking about several things. How were they created, and how long did it take to create the Valorians? Did they just pop out of the ground like daisies, or what was really involved in making a race like the Valorians? And what was the world like when they faced and defeated the Craven? Also, when we talk about armies and the Valorians, it's natural to focus on the Valorplates because of how awesome they look, and they would most likely be the commanders of the armies. However, wars are not won by troops alone. Armies need logistics, from army design, development, training, storage, distribution, maintenance, evacuation, transportation of personnel, food, communication, medical, and more, just to name a few. So, did the Valorians all fill those roles, or were other races created to fill them as well? We know that when the Craven were pushed back, that the Valorians started building cities. We have records of godsmiths who created the Skybreaker monolith, so we know that there were others that had different disciplines. I'm not sure if they were Valorians or something else created for that sole purpose, though. I am curious how many sets of Valorplate were made. Was every warrior outfitted with a set, or only the best warriors? We know that the Typhon Valorplate was a preferred tool to hunt down the God Beast. More on them in a later video. So, how did the plates work? Was everyone outfitted with a set? The obvious genders of the plates still have me confused on if that is only a gameplay choice or if it's tied into the canon of the world somehow. So the Craven are pushed back by the Valorians, and the Valorians start to build a society. The Archons, however, start to fight among themselves. The Valorians, who were bred for war, are called once again, but this time to fight each other. The Archons also create the Latterborn, the Abyssians, Vorgol, and the Nyack. We know that some of the Archons allied with each other for a short time to create these races, trying to create something more powerful than the Valorians. I wonder what kind of freedoms the Valorians had at this point. What kind of stops or assurances did the Archons put in front of the Valorians so that their creations couldn't turn on them? I think I'll cover the Latterborn in a later video when we have more information about each of them. I do think the Abyssians sound really interesting though, with their abilities to change forms as their station demands. Also, their long life and belief in reincarnation will make for some really interesting stories told in the history of the Abyssians. Add that to their belief that they hold dominion over anything with salt water running through their veins, including the blood of every living creature on Empyrean, and I think there's going to be some exciting lore to read. Alright, that's a lot of lore to cover and a lot of questions, and I just kind of wanted to put out there and get your opinions on them. What do you think so far of the lore? Do you have any of your own theories of how the Archons and the Valorians commingled? Why they start fighting? Why did they end up losing at the end? I think I'll write my thoughts down and put it up on the Godfall 101 website if anyone wants to read them, or if they have theories of their own. I can cover those and we can have another community-driven Godfall lore video, which I think would be a lot of fun. Overall, I am excited about the story of the game. So tell me what you think about the lore. Where are all the lore nerds at? Leave a comment below if you have a theory, if you think my theories are off, and let's have a discussion about it. Please like and subscribe if you found the video helpful or entertaining in any way. And as always, please be kind to each other.